Al Dancer, Andrew's Nap at 25-1. Hello and welcome to GG Weekend Watch with myself, Kate Tracy, alongside Andrew Mack and Dave Young to look ahead to a blend of action. Cheltenham, again, the November meeting is back with us, but we are also clinging on to the flat season somewhat. Still some more weather contests at Newcastle, much to Dave's delight. But the lads were in good form last weekend. Hopefully we can continue that. Up at Aintree in the 205, Imperial Saint was well backed into 5-6 in the end for Dave. And then Aintree also in the 240. King Turgeon was also well supported. Set for 9-2 for a winner for Andrew. Wincanton 255. Rubod was another winner for Dave. And then up at Doncaster in the 310, Estrange for the better of Danielle. Got the better of Danielle for Andrew at 7-2, but the boys gave the 1-2 between them in that one. And then but the performance of the month, if not the season, came in the Badger Beer at 3:30 at Wincanton. Al Dancer, Andrew's Nap at 25-1 went and won in really convincing style in the Badger Beer. So Andrew, very well done. And to you as well, Dave. 25-1 Nap. Ain't no one beating that. Right, on with this.
Thank you very much. I did say each way Nap, so I'll lose a bit of kudos there for not saying stick it all on the nose and lump on.
I see. Always finding the slight negative then. A 25-1 Nap, and he still manages to find a way.
That's what my therapist says. I should talk to you instead of her.
He still manages to find a way to humble himself. Right. See if you can find another each way, whatever. We don't care. If it's a 25-1 Nap and it wins, we don't care. Right. We're going to begin at Cheltenham with the 145. This is with the Arkle Challenge Trophy Trial, Novices Chase, Grade 2 contest, 4-year-olds and over 2 miles. Andrew, we better just start with you really here.
Generally it sort of goes to form. I think 8 of the last 10 winners were winners last time out. The other 2 were second, although there aren't that many horses who rock up here having finished third or worse on their latest start. Interesting in terms of previous chase experience, 1 runner was making his chase debut. Only 1 from 15 runners had 2 or more previous start. 8 winners from 24 runners in the past 10 years who had just 1 previous start over fences. They showed a profit of £5 and £8 to a £1 level stake at SP. So that doesn't really help us because we kind of keep coming back to Lotus Sud, the short price favourite for Dan Skelton, and Lookaway for Neil King, who won a match at Uttoxeter on his chase debut. Now, I did look at the record of horses who ran in handicaps before running here. It's actually pretty good, so don't let that put you off Lotus Sud. And Lotus Sud's interesting because when Dan Skelton runs one on its chase debut under top weight, a handicap, they have a shocking record. It was like 0 from 21 and 0 from 24, something like that, until Lotus Sud absolutely bolted up at Stratford, albeit from the front, and we know Stratford favours that running style. You could argue, he was flattered, but he won with like an absolute ton in hand. He opened up at 7-4. I think he's the best price at 11-8 for this race now. And I thought he's going to run a big race. I mean, Lookaway goes from the front. He's won at this meeting over hurdles before. He likes good ground. He'll give his running. But I was trying to find, something at a big price or an angle. Maybe Breeze River is perhaps underrated, given who trains him, Paul Robson. But I just kept coming back to the favourites. I'm going to be very boring. Go with Lotus Sud.
Lotus Sud then to kick us off. That's interesting, isn't it, for the Skelton stats into those handicap chases on debut. Dave, do you concur?
No is the short of it, but obviously I feel like I should just copy everything that Andrew does for the foreseeable future, and it will improve my
you had a very good weekend yourself last weekend. Do not become yourself down at all.
Well, thank you very much. We're going to have a good weekend this weekend, though, because Andrew's already put up the favourite in this race and I'm putting up the second favourite. So we're covering good 80% of the book in this one. It's a fascinating race because this Arkle trial over the years has had small fields. We've actually got quite a few that are going to post here. Obviously, it's produced some nice types in the past. But my concern with Lotus Sud is, it's kind of a bit of a price thing, but the novice handicap chase that he won last time out, or the handicap chase that he won last time out, was like, it was a decent effort, but he's beaten No Risk to Flow, who is just gone at the game. And he's jumping, it was only round Stratford, his jumping was a bit like, almost as though he was coming down on the flight while he was still half going up, and he made that sort of shape over a fence before he like sort of blundered into one. So that worries me a tiny bit, especially jumping around Cheltenham. Now I know they're all novices, they're bound to improve from it, and I like to see him make mistakes. So in no way, shape or form am I saying that I don't think Lotus's got a massive chance. Of course he has. Lookaway's run in that match race, I think, can be upgraded. Because remember when John Bond ran against Calico when he was 1-16 and he made Calico look like a good horse. It doesn't always pan out in a match race. Tactically, they're very different races compared to like a race that's got a few runners in there. So I think Lookaway's debut effort, although it wouldn't have been as like visually impressive in terms of the distances, I wouldn't say that you could say it was any worse than Lotus Sud's. You definitely couldn't say it was as good. But I think the inflated RPR that Lotus Sud got for that run last time out, I think it is just that. It's inflated because he was giving weight away in a handicap and they maybe didn't want to get too close to him, or they weren't capable of doing it. All that said, there's £11 between Lotus Sud and Lookaway on official ratings. They both ended the back end of last season coming fifth in a relatively competitive handicaps. They both got similar RPRs for that effort, and they were both about, I think one was 137, one was 138. I have these two horses about the same sort of level so far, so I'd have them much closer in the market together. Lookaway's as short as 2-1 in places, and Lotus Sud's as big as 11-8 in places, but you can get 7-2 Lookaway at the time of recording. That looks way too big to pass up on. Although he's a year older than Lotus Sud, he's only had one more run than him, I think, under rules. And Lotus Sud was actually out on a race course before Lookaway was in his point. August 2021, I think Lotus Sud was dotted about in France. So although there could be more to come from him being a 6-year-old going 7, there's just as much to come from Lookaway. We know what he's like at Cheltenham, and this is a good ground November meeting. Lotus Sud's better form, I think, does come on slower surface. So there's enough in there to suggest that he could be opposable, but they're the right two at the front of the market, and me and Andrew have got them covered, haven't we?
Yeah, like you say, at least you've got them covered then. Lotus Sud for Andrew, Lookaway for Dave. Right, the 220 up next at Cheltenham. This is the Paddy Power Gold Cup Handicap Chase, Premier Handicap, 4-year-olds and over 2 mile 4. Ginny's Destiny, though, is a pretty hot prospect for this at 3-1, Dave, considering what we tend to expect from this race and how competitive it is. But he's well fancied here.
Yeah, like terribly short. That like you'd think really in like it's still an up to standard renewal of this race. There are only 15 runners in it, but it looks a good race. I'm really excited because we have normally do like 11 races on the previews recently, and the second race in we're on the Paddy Power Gold Cup. It's like Cheltenham's definitely back in it. But I've got a few reservations about Ginny's Destiny. One's probably like a lukewarm thing, but I do like to pay attention to some of these things because, you know, history serves us for the future. 8-year-olds have the worst strike rate of any age in here, apart from if you get to like really old ones like 10 and 11-year-olds. But they have the worst like win rate, 5% from runners, whereas like 6, 7, and 9-year-olds are 7 and 8%. And they even have the worst place rate. But also Ginny's Destiny, the only time I bet this horse last year, because I thought he was going to be progressive, was first time up. And he was slammed. I thought, oh, he's definitely no good then. He got beat first time up over hurdles. He even got beat first time he raced on a race course when he was in a bumper, albeit that was a different time of year. So there's enough in there to suggest that he doesn't go as well fresh as he can do. And while his spring form is pretty decent, what he did in that Turner's behind Grey Dawning is a hell of an effort. I just don't think he warrants being as short as he is. If he'd have had a prep run, regardless of whether he won, lost or draw in there, I would have been seeing these chances as a favourites chance. But at this stage, I don't see it as that, and he's definitely way too short. Enough of moaning about the one that I don't like. The one that I do like in it is Imagine for Harry Derham, and this one you can make a case on for form, which is what you really need to do, don't you? But also we need to talk about Harry Derham's strike rate. It's almost criminal, right? So Harry Derham has a 25% strike rate in handicaps alone, but a horse that's making its first start for Harry Derham in a handicap goes all the way up to a 57% strike rate. He's had 15 winners from 26. He's been quite highly talked about in recent weeks. I think Slugger was the last one that did it a couple of weeks back, maybe at Foss last. But betting those blinds and betting them to SP, just Harry Derham trained runners in a handicap, it returns a 13% return on investment just to SP, and it's 180% return on investment backing them to SP if it's the first run for Harry Derham. So you could make the case to back Imagine off the back of that alone. But Chase debut, this horse had 5 or 6 horses in behind that, and now 140's chasers. So there's depth to that first run. Next time out was odds on, and only just got the better of Lucid Dreams, who Hasn't necessarily franked the form, but does run to about like a probably a low 140s level, but is a bit of a rascal horse. So the fact that there was a close margin between the two of them, I think Lucid Dreams was probably just on a going day. And then you have to put a big line through the last run, but that was in graded company again. Now, of course, Caldwell Potter distributed, so they dispersed, didn't they, their horses, and I'm sure Gordon would have tried to get him. I don't know if he was the underbidder or not, but they paid a lot of money to get this horse, Imagine. Harry Derham's talked him up to the cows come home. And I just think that this horse has got a proper chance. There's 4 places up for grabs. Some bookies are offering 5 places. 7 to 1 about him feels like an absolute free swing because he's got to be well handicapped on that novice chase form. And that Harry Derham strike rate in these types of handicaps just looks ridiculous. You can't ignore it. As I can waffle because we've only got 6 races, I do want to give a strong mention to Protektorat as well. I know he's in a handicap and he's carrying this top weight, but a couple of years ago, or a few years ago now, it was 2021, I think it was. He was just under a length second in this race, off of a £13 lower mark. Since then, he's obviously slammed rivals in a Betfair Chase. He's won a Ryanair. He's proved himself to be the stone better horse that he's officially rated. His last handicap run came here over 3 Mile 2 when he was behind Broadway Boy. It was Broadway Boy. It was a bit of a day out for him. They were just, I guess, trying to rejuvenate him and get him to do get the love of the game back. But it was still a good weight carrying performance. And I think in here, with question marks about a few of them, there's a chance that he might be able to get loose and do something off the front. He's about 14 to 1 top price. I think he'll go off single figures. So he's a bit of a value swing as well. But Imagine would be the strongest fancy in the race.
Yeah, and those new colours as well. And like you say about Harry Derham's record fresh and record fresh then in handicaps and first time ups and everything, then Imagine is ticking an awful lot of boxes. But a few good shouts there from Dave. Andrew, who do you like?
Yeah, I thought Dave can see my stats here because I'm very much singing from the same hymn sheet. I've been waffling on about Harry Derham's good record with stable switches for a while now in some of my columns, and like you say, it's extremely good. And Imagine himself is 3 from 3 on his seasonal debuts. You always worry about horses leaving Gordon Elliott, how they're going to go for their new trainer. But he's, like Dave says, he's 15 from 26 in handicaps. The first time I've asked him the horses he takes over from one of the yards, profit of £46.60 to a £1 level stake at SP. Hopefully he'll be ridden prominently, which has been the key to winning this race. There's some interesting stats for this race. I mean, last time out winners are 0 from 43 in the past 10 years. But what's perhaps more surprising, there are no last time out winners in today's lineup. I suppose a lot of the horses, winners of this race were making their seasonal debut and perhaps had got chinned in a Grade 1 contest or at a spring final start last year and were over the top for the season. So I've backed Imagine. I've also backed Straw Fan Jack at a big price. This is a horse who sort of goes under the radar, being trained by Sheila Lewis, but he has got a good record at this time of year. All his wins have come in October to December. He likes good ground. He likes Cheltenham. I thought he could go well at a big price. And the other interesting one was the Nichols second string, Il Rodotto. Now, we've talked about the form of the Nichols yard. They've generally been struggling first time out. Now, last week I stuck his Wincanton runners, all bar the one in the Badger Beer, in a lucky 63 and copped 5 winners and a hampered third. Now Nichols is 5 from 9 since the 1st of October with runners who'd raced in the past 4 weeks. He'd make a good profit backing all those. So 5 of the last 6 have won, and the other one was badly hampered. Now, Il Rodotto was 3rd in this race last year on his reappearance. He was 4th in the race in 2022 on his comeback. But he's had a run this time around, which could be the key, finishing 5th at Chepstow. And we know how the Nichols horses ran at that Chepstow meeting. Most of them looked as if they'd need it. A lot of them have come out and won since, like Bo Belko, I should say, at Wincanton last week. He's got a good record second time out, Il Rodotto. 4th of 16 in a hot Cheltenham handicap chase and 2nd by a short head. So Il Rodotto's 2nd run after a wind operation, 2nd run of the season. I think he's the one to give Imagine a race. So yeah, I'm sort of Imagine, Il Rodotto and Straw Fan Jack. There's your trifecta. Don't say you weren't given it.
Don't say you weren't given. Yeah, your signal just went a little bit blurry there, but Straw Fan Jack 33 to 1. We've got Imagine in there as well, and Il Rodotto were the 3, weren't they, Andrew? Just to doubly confirm those.
Yeah, my internet seems to have gone a bit shonky.
Not at all, not at all. We got there anyway. Right, that was the Paddy Power Gold Cup. Now for the 255 at Cheltenham handicap hurdle, 4-year odds and over 3 miles at 255. Again, we've got a 3-1 favourite in this one. This time round, it's Doyen Quest for the Skeletons. So, Andrew, who'd you like?
Yeah, again, another race where I thought it was hard to get away from the front end of the market. Gowel Road's second here last month. Has got a good record at Cheltenham on the old course. A win, a 7th of 22 in the Coral Cup, and that come back second place again. Email Andy is sort of prominent in the betting, but he is making a seasonal debut and he has yet to win away from Plumpton. So I was more against him. And I thought the obvious danger, buoyantly, was Doyen Quest, another one who's got a good record in handicap company, first, second since his attention was switched to handicap hurdles. So I would go Gowel Road each way at the prices over Doyen Quest.
Okay, Gowel Road at the prices then. Yeah, 7-1 shot at this time of record. Just been clipped out, I should say, from 13-2 as well. Dave.
Yeah, so this is a good looking race, to be fair. Andrew's touched on Email Andy not winning away from Plumpton. He's also like related to Charbel and Ajero. So why they think the step up to 3 miles is going to suit him is beyond me. Maybe they're prep running him for something to drop him back in trip, but he's taken up a bit of a chunk of the market, isn't he? Doyen Quest was runner up in that silver trophy at Chepstow, and the third for the Skeletons won the listed mares hurdle race, didn't it, when Lucia was pulled up in there. There's a couple of other winners in behind that race as well. Like it's potentially a good effort, but I don't think he really wants this far, and he's done a bit of his improving already. It was a good enough effort last time out, but I think he might be short enough. He feels to me like the type of horse that the people that fancy him could be right and he could absolutely dot up, or he might just not be as good as he first looks. I don't know whether the step up in trip's the right thing for him or not. Gowel Road, I was a bit, don't want to say disappointed with because he bumped into the wall part last time, but I couldn't have him not being in the frame last time, and he was second, but I thought he'd win. He didn't really travel into it as well as I kind of hoped in that race, and he does make a few jumping mistakes. So I do really like him. I think he's got a proper chance. So Gowel Road, Doyen Quest, who that Andrew's mentioned, they definitely have a chance of going in this one. In terms of a selection, it's going to be a bit of a almost roguey one, because thanks for the help for David Pipe and Jack Tudor. If this one does start to get supported, because obviously I napped up Krabilly at Chepstow when he took a massive walk in the market, and I don't want to do that with this thanks to the help if it goes up at 25-1. But this was sent off for favourite for the Temps final in 2023, off of a £10 higher mark. Last time it ran off a mark around about this figure was 117, over a little bit short of it. Won an absolute canter. This horse is miles better than 117. They potentially had problems with him. His form was quite good in the spring last year, but then it's not been as good since. But they took the cheap pieces off last time and they reapply them here. So he's a 9-1 shot at the moment. If the money starts to come for this horse, I potentially would happily wait and lose a few points in the prices. But if he starts to come in, then I think thanks for the help could be a seriously well handicapped horse, and this could be the race for him because he definitely wants this trip. So thanks for the help is the selection, but treat it with caution if you're watching the video a bit later on.
Just watch the market is 9-1 at the time of recording now, top price. So do watch that for thanks for the help. It might tell you either way then exactly how he is likely to fare. Right, 3:15 now at Newcastle. We're going to switch to the all-weather and to the flat. Now, this is for the listed Churchill Stakes. 3-year odds and over 10 furlongs. Dubai Honor heads away as the 9-4 favourite in here. But again, loads of characters we know plenty about in this one, Dave. So who do you fancy?
Yeah, I mean, like it's quite difficult because we always like to try and find some juicy prices. And I know I'll get pelters in the comments for we'll tip it up another short one, but I think it's really hard to get away from Dubai Honor. You even look at last one. I know he was a beaten favourite, but he's a beaten favourite in a Group 1, and this is a listed race. Now I know he's got to give £7 away, but he won he won a group race over the summer. He won a listed race at Kempton at the start of the season over this trip. With ease, like he was a 4-6 favourite and he won as easy as you like. In that race as well, he had Okeechobee that was second, won a Group 3 after. I think that's the only run we've seen since. But even Lions Prize run well after, even like behind the likes of a Calpana that I quite highly rate. I just think the form of that race alone is like solid enough to say that this horse probably shouldn't get beat. I know younger horses have typically won this race in the past, but 9-4 top price about this horse just looks ridiculous. If he was priced up at say 5-4 or something, you might be able to find a bit more value in behind him for the each way plays, but there's 3 or 4 horses that are single figures behind him, so I wouldn't be looking for sort of like a free each way swing in the race. I think you just back Dubai Honor because he's just better than these. So Dubai Honor, very boring, but 9-4 might not be about when people are watching this. If it is, get stuck in, gamble responsibly.
Well done, well saved there. 9-4 though, Dubai Honor. He heads away quite clearly on ratings. I know he's got to give the weight away, but yeah, he is a class act in this field, isn't he? 9-4 shot then for Dave. Andrew.
Boring. Yeah, boring.
Andrew is the pelt is in the comments.
I'm with Dave. I mean, William Haggis in listed races on the all-weather.
Boring.
Backing them blind, and he won both listed races at Lingfield on Wednesday this week. And you look at the race, and like I say, you sort of try and make cases each way for others. You keep coming back to this one. He's got the running style as well, and that he's not going to make the running, which is generally ideal at Newcastle on the TIPPED surface. Is open to improvement. He's only had a couple of runs on the all-weather, even though being a 6-year-old is a lightly raced one. So he was an easy winner at Kempton the last time he raced on the all-weather. His only other all-weather start was a second in Group 3 company, and when he failed to settle. So I think he'll still 6. I like that. He'll get a good toe into the race. Given the form of the yard, 35% strike rate the last couple of weeks, 2 listed winners already this week. I think he's going to hit the beating. So yeah, 9-4 is fair enough.
Tick all those boxes then for you pair of boringos. No, not at all. He has clear chance, doesn't he? Like I said before, he is clear on ratings. The fact that the yard's operating at 35% strike rate at present, having the success earlier on in the week in notable contests as well. He just looks like he's going to take the world a beating, doesn't he? Dubai Honor there at Newcastle. Right, 3:30 now. Back to Cheltenham. Intermediate handicap hurdle. 0-140 contest, 3-year-olds and over 2 mile 5. We talked about Gowel Road earlier on. He actually won this back in 2021. 5-1 co-favourites of 3, Andrew, though, at the time of recording. So how are you playing it?
Yeah, I always like this race. There's some very strong stats associated with it. 2 of them aren't particularly helpful this year because generally you want to be on a horse age 6 or younger who was in the top 6 last time out. That's everybody in this 10-run field. But the other one is the back horses who are ridden patiently in that prep race. It generally goes to a horse who comes from off the pace. There are quite a few front runners in this race, or horses who sort of race in the first 2 or 3 throughout, including one of the favourites, including Why Not for Henry Daly, a winner here at the October meeting, and Firefly potentially as well. First run after a wind up, first of the season for Paul Nicholls. That one's on the drift. So I was sort of worried about that. That one might need the run. I mean, going through it, the ones who are likely to come from off the pace, there's 2 that stand out. Hamsiyann for Tony Martin. This one's been well backed. I think Tony Martin's still got the hump about his ban, and I think he's going to try and stick it to the British authorities and the bookmakers over. He's got one in the finale at Cheltenham on Friday, and he's got this one as well. And the other one was Major Fortune for the Den Scotland Yard, also well supported. I think it's Hamsiann's 5 from 8s and Major Fortune 5s from 7. So those are the 2 I'll be concentrating on. They'll be going in the play spot. I'll probably do the reverse forecast on the pair.
5-1 about the pair of those 2 as well. Yeah, Tony Martin still trying to make a point, perhaps, then with Hamsiyann, Major Fortune for the Skeletons then as well for Andrew. Dave.
Yeah, see, this is why Cheltenham's just the best, because it's just so much easier to look at, and we're pretty much all in agreement because it's the right thing to do. This intermediate handicap hurdle, I love the intermediate races anyway because they're full of decent future prospects, and there will be bundles of winners in behind it. Obviously, only one horse can win this, unless we get a dead heat. But there's, in terms of the betting at the moment, there's 4 or 5 horses, even if you include Firefly, that are sort of vying for favouritism. But the market is going to settle itself out. Champagne Twist was very progressive last season. He definitely hasn't finished progressing, but took a couple of starts to do it that last season. And you'd wonder with a horse like him, they'd have a pot lined up for him down the line. So I think this is very much a starting point, even though I still respect him. He could probably He could probably win a race like this, not fully tuned up, but he won't win this particular race, I don't think, because there'll be a few that are tuned up for it. Major Fortune was a non-runner in the Potemps qualifier at Newbury on, I want to say Thursday, but it was one of the days of the week. Emma Tom came second in it, but I was a bit confused with that horse because he was strongly fancied in there. The trip didn't necessarily seem to be a problem, but I wasn't convinced that he's got loads of mileage in the mark. So as I touched on, he could be the type of horse that is fit, ready to go, and might be able to take advantage of this. But I think other horses might progress past him, and I think some of them could do that right now. Why Not was a good winner at the meeting in October, but again, I feel like potentially could be vulnerable to one of these improvers. And I think that improver has to be Hamsiyann. The run at Ascot was really eye-catching when not particularly getting a lot of space. Andrew's touched on it exactly. Like, Tony Martin's going to want some sort of revenge for the fact that he's had a bit of time off. But regardless of that, the fact that this is the start of the season, this was a horse that wherever he was going, I thought that this horse was well handicapped. He's just snuck in here as well, because there's horses, because it's a 0 to 140, that could have put him out of the handicap and they haven't. He's just very interesting, and I think the 5 to 1 about him top price will soon go. I can imagine this one will go off as favourite. I feel like he's definitely in the frame, and obviously you've got to be careful saying definitely, but we've got 10 runners at the moment. The field's not going to drop below 3 places, so you can get a fairly free each way swing on Hamsiyann. I reckon he's the one to slam these today, but there'll be loads of winners in the race.
Yeah, it's a fascinating race, isn't it, that you want to be taking note of regardless of what happens for future reference then. But Hamsiyann currently 5 to 1 and could still be anything at this stage. Right, back to the flat then for our final scheduled race of this part. This is at Newcastle, the 348, the listed Golden Rose Stakes, 3 years and over 6 furlongs. Dave, you look buzzing for this one.
Yeah, I mean, it's sad, isn't it? Because I know ITV want to share some good racing, but I don't know, I'd rather watch the bumper at Cheltenham than watch this. but it is a good race. It's a listed race. William Twee took this last year. And that was a race last year where I can't remember the name of the horse. I mean, I could look, but there was a 7 to 4 favourite that was quite highly rated in here. But regardless of that, William Twee was fairly well supported. I think he must have gone a second favourite. It was about 3 to 1 for this. So, like, has potentially a bit of a chance here. But Annaf, I just think back to the course and distance where he's won over in the past. I'd just be very disappointed if he couldn't win this race. So look, again, I know like it's a fancied horse, but I'd have him a lot shorter. The conditions of this race means that he's not really giving any weight away to anything. Well, he's not giving any weight away, but he is just better than everything. Night Raider is the sort of progressive one that could maybe do something to him. And on the RPR that horse put in last time, you would suggest that, they're already fairly close to each other, although the official ratings wouldn't suggest that. But Annaf, I think the last few runs travelled really well in that Group 1 last time, and I don't think many in this race would have been able to travel as strongly as that. Was on soft ground. The time before that was on heavy ground, so I'm prepared to forgive the fact that this is now going to be an easier surface for Annaf to go on. And even when you go back to the Haydock Sprint Cup at obviously Haydock, when Montesiv won, I thought it was a reasonable run, considering he got gaps and he got squished for gaps and stuff. He didn't get the ideal placement in there. I just think that on figures he's sort of £7 clear of these, not having to give weight away. 3 to 1 about him looks reasonable. Not that it will get to this point, but there's 4 places up for grabs. If he drifted out for any reason and he was 4 to 1, you really could just take a swing each way, I would suggest. But like William Twee's interesting. The chip chase run that he ran over course and distance earlier was quite good. But if Annaf wants to win this, I think Annaf does win this. So Annaf is Annaf.
Enough of enough. You haven't had enough of enough just yet, Dave. 100 to 30 heading the way in this one. Andrew.
Yeah, all the usual suspects. Good racing. We should mention that it was, because previously run at Lingfield, we're now running it at Newcastle. William Twee won it at Lingfield last year, but he does have a good record on TIPPED. Wiltshire's 3 from 3 on the all-weather. He's on the short list. Night Raider's 3 from 3 on the all-weather, but I do worry about this track being suitable for his front-running style, particularly with the forecast headwind. It's sort of gusts up to about 26 miles an hour into their faces by the time of this race. Annaf, great record on the all-weather in the UK, 10 runs, 5 wins, 5 in the frame efforts. So I was sort of Annaf, Wiltshire, William Twee, any one of the above. Azure Angel's semi-interesting. He's 50 to 1. Perhaps not best drawn in stall 4. He won his first 4 slots on the all-weather. He's 2 from 3 on TIPPED with the defeat from a poor draw at Wolverhampton last time out, went 4th at 18-1. He's 2 from 2 at Newcastle. Now, I know he's got a mountain to climb on official ratings, but given his patient style, given the headwind, given the likelihood of a strong pace, I'm just going to go sort of tiny stakes each way on Azure Angel at a silly price.
Ooh, 50-1. Yeah, massive price. Clear outsider of the field in this one, but with that all-weather record as well. Azure Angel, not to put you off from her by any means. Right, Andrew, back to you, please. Anything from anywhere else?
Absolutely not.
No worries at all. Dave.
Oh yeah, I mean there's loads in there. There's 3 days of Cheltenham. So I'm just quickly getting the race up on my phone so I can quote the right time. So for viewers that watch this early enough, the 1:10, the first race on Friday at Cheltenham, there's already been money for Victory Club for Harriet Dickin.
Hang on, Friday. We're doing Saturday's racing. What's all this Friday nonsense?
It'll be quick. Well, this one's definitely worth mentioning. Was 28s into 16s. The money's coming for it. I think this is a significantly well handicapped horse. Victory Club in the first race. Then there's some decent racing at Navan on Saturday. The 11:40 Wingmen. But then also I've got to mention a runner in the Greatwood Hurdle. Looks a proper fascinating race this year. It would be really good to see Dysart Enos be the weapon that everyone thinks that she is. But I am taking her on with Be Aware for the Skeltons. It was second.
Oh, same.
Yeah,
sorry, same.
Second in that Imperial Cup, wasn't it? Or not the Imperial Cup, the Novices Handicap Final. It's been a good pointer with Harambe and Abirika Lord going and doing it. He's definitely a well handicapped horse, and he's got the attributes that's already running like competitive races and had to be asked to do something. So he's my Greatwood Hurdle tip.
Oh, I'm going with him as well. I literally just before we started recording, I went through obviously we don't have we don't have the decks for the Greatwood just yet, but yeah, I was going through and I was like, oh, please be aware, please have this as your reappearance. And yeah, I thought that exact same thought about that second last time out for Be Aware too. So glad to see that I have got some agreement there from Dave. So Dave, back to you please for your nap.
Oh, tricky, innit?
Who's gonna have to buy honour?
We'll go Be Aware in the Greatwood.
Okay. I really hope that he gets the guide. Well, he's already jocked up, so yeah, should be going there. Right, Be Aware in the Greatwood. Then Andrew.
Tricky again. I'll go Imagine in the Paddy Power Gold Cup.
Nice for Harry Derham then. First start and reappearance as well. Exciting ways to play it this weekend. Right, that is everything from us on this week's show. So big thank you to Andrew and today for all of their hard work as per usual. Big thank you to you at home for watching. Enjoy the action this weekend and we'll speak to you again next week.